Hey everyone, Fanjax back once again with another DDO update. I put myself in a lurch over the past week or so by foolishly starting to work on too many projects at once, which means I'm getting a lot of cool stuff done that I hope to get to share with you soon, but it also means that I'm due to upload a video now and currently have nothing finished. So I have been playing DDO in my spare time and figured it might do me some good to take a step back and crank one of these out. Before getting into things, I'll start with a quick character update. Currently sitting at what should be level 17. I've been compiling footage from previous levels, so I might not actually be playing at that level at various points in the footage, but yada 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 yada. I have now acquired level 9 spells, which has been my goal for a while now because, let's be honest, the only reason to play a spellcaster is to cast more spells, baby. Anyway, this is where I want to get some real feedback from all of you. I am going to dual class for my 18th level. I have been torn between taking a level in either warrior, barbarian, or maybe even something weird like paladin, namely because I want all the combat skills that come with those classes. In the comments below, let me know which class you think I should level in or why. It doesn't have to be particularly in-depth analysis or anything like that, just why you think I should take a level in a particular class. Get creative, have fun with it, and I'll show off some of my favorite responses in the next episode. So the main thing I wanted to talk about is something I actually brought up towards the end of the last update, and this is the fact that I bit the bullet, went ahead, and splurged on the VIP subscription. For those of you that don't know, while DDO is completely free to play, there are things you can buy, as with any free-to-play title, within the in-game shop, and one of those things is a more traditional monthly subscription that provides a whole bounty of stuff, purportedly at a better value than buying those things individually. It costs $15, which, as I'm now coming to realize, the $15 price tag for MMORPGs might be the one thing in the world that hasn't been subject to inflation over the past 20 years, which is awesome. Actually, I paid $30 for 3 months, and there's even better value available if you tee up for longer. Now, between this video and the last, I spent about half the time as a free player and the other as a VIP. I don't really need more information about what this game is like in its free-to-play format, but for the sake of comparison, it felt smart to split things that way. What I can say is most predominantly noticeable about playing as a VIP is that the game feels much more convenient. DDO being older can show its age at times in a way that isn't necessarily bad, but can be noteworthy, and the VIP membership, with the way it grants you a movement speed boost in public areas like towns, extra bank and auction slots, and better guild features, helps to assuage all of that at least a bit. It does grant you some more gameplay specific goodies as well, with certain classes, races, skill trees, and other character options being made available as part of your subscription. To me, when taking the grand scope of things, the best part of this subscription might be that it doesn't have that much impact on what you actually do in the game. It doesn't feel like you're buying your way to a better character or gameplay experience. Even as it grants you a flat 10% boost to quest experience, 10%, if we're being real, is not that much, especially when it comes to higher levels. It's hardly all that noticeable, seriously. This isn't a cheap mobile game where you're buying bundles of resources or anything like that. The benefits are noticeable and certainly appreciable, but without defining what you can do, which puts the VIP status in a real nice slot that I think a lot of other games with similar systems really struggle to settle into. That's how I came away from it feeling, at least. I'd love to know what others might think. There were two things that spurred me to want to try the VIP plan: access to the newly released 64-bit server and to unlock the advanced difficulty settings for quests. Now, to address the former, I messed around on the new server for a few hours on a fresh character, and if we're being totally honest, did not notice that big of a difference. I think it's a bit more responsive overall, although I could just be convincing myself of that, but I did not see any real tangible difference in the latency or lag issues that are unfortunately a part of this game. So yeah, that was disappointing and only makes me question the decision to put it behind a paywall even more. I'm not a genius, but addressing lag should be the main benefit of a 64-bit server, and in that department it just does not seem to be doing all that much for the gameplay experience. Maybe it's doing something for the developers at the moment, but it ain't doing much for the player. Let's hope the fact that it crashed horrifically when it first launched doesn't become an omen, because lag-free DDO could potentially feed families, man. More importantly to me, and probably you if we're being honest, is the access that being a VIP gives you to higher difficulty levels for quests. I will attest that I am viscerally opposed to something like this being something you have to pay for, and I'll tell you why. Beyond just being stupid on its face, it's even worse that it directly undercuts how much has been added to this game over the years. I imagine when this game first launched that there was little chance that you were going to outpace whatever quest might have been available to you at a given time. There was only so much to do, after all. That is flatly not the case anymore. With the addition of adventures like the Keep on the Borderlands adaptation or the various seasonal events that bring quests, you almost certainly will outpace the difficulty levels. Being a higher level than is recommended for any adventure brings increasingly diminished rewards, primarily experience for completing said quest until you eventually just flat earn nothing for your efforts. If you're like me, having so much to do will mean that you'll be left with entire areas worth of quests that, unless you purchase the higher difficulty levels, you'll have to do for absolutely no gain. In fairness, the higher difficulty levels can be unlocked by completing the lower ones first, but if it wasn't obvious, completing lower level quests isn't only unfun because you don't get anything for them, but also because they become mind-numbingly easy. This problem is only further exasperated when you get to much higher levels and the quests themselves become far longer on average. Like, that's a more general complaint I have. The game could really use some of the shorter quests that are present earlier in the leveling process in the later stages, but such an issue becomes that much worse when, if you don't feel like paying for the harder difficulties, it means you've got to waste that much more time running through quests you aren't getting anything from. It's just hostile to the player, literally punishing them for partaking in all the phenomenal content that this game has to offer at this point. We all play games for some sort of gratification, and DDO can very quickly become one without much if you aren't willing to fork over some money. You'll start spending more time than you'd probably like searching for quests that are within range of your character level and just leaving those you missed in the dust, which just sucks. What I will say is, outside of that omnipresent issue, purchasing a VIP subscription is far from necessary in order to enjoy this game. As I said, most of the VIP bonuses are truly more along the lines of convenience than anything you need to have in order to have an enjoyable experience playing this game. I got through the first 16 levels just fine, my issues with the difficulty settings notwithstanding, and I imagine I would have gotten through the rest just as well. Not to mention, at least in my experience over the past year or so playing this game, the developers over at Standing Stone seem to be quite generous. They just completed the Year of the Dragon celebration in honor of D&D's 50th anniversary a few months ago, which gave all players from free to VIP a free gift every month. We're talking mounts, armor skins, experience shares, all things that would typically be locked behind a paywall. There's also sales and whatnot running in the store, and at one point about a year ago, they just gave away a ton of expansion and adventure pack content completely for free. Like, what I would imagine is probably the main moneymaker of the game, just literal years worth of content given away for free. Riot Games' Standing Stone clearly is not. One interesting nugget in the state of DDO accounts is that there is actually a third sort of middle ground between free-to-play and VIP, which is a premium account. Your account becomes premium after you spend a whopping $1 on the game in some fashion, and while being a premium player doesn't grant you nearly as many benefits as VIP, it does give you some extra character slots and access to certain in-game marketplaces. I'm not one to tell other people how to spend their money, but like, if you're going to be playing this game for any significant length of time, it's $1. Accounts can go back and forth between VIP and premium, obviously, as I imagine mine will, because I will probably fluctuate between the two depending on what I'm doing and how much I'm actually playing at any given moment. So ultimately, I don't think VIP is really necessary, and I would probably argue as well that it isn't worth it for the majority of people. Now granted, if you're playing this game a ton, then it probably is. Money spent on convenience for something we might love is usually money well spent, in my experience. But I want to preface this all with that I wholeheartedly think it's a good thing that you don't actually need to pay for a monthly subscription to have fun with DDO. It means that the game is available to just about anyone, and while I might disagree with some of the things they've chosen to monetize, that most everything in the game can be purchased individually means that you, as the player, have a plenty personalized experience when it comes to choosing what you might want to pay for. And at the end of the day, these games do have to make money in some way, and that Standing Stone has made a clear concerted effort to try and avoid screwing over their free players does unquestionably make me more understanding to the realities of those business dealings. Whether you're a VIP or free player, why don't we just go ahead and have a time playing DDO, because it's a hell of a lot of fun either way.